Welcome back to the Sophia Chang Show. Have I got a treat for you? I am here to save everyone from text neck and writer wrist. So join me right now in welcoming Alex Ellis, the creator of Movement Mavens Therapy Balls, which I use every single day, and host of the Body Nerd Show. Alexandra Ellis is a mobility coach and wellness expert who helps active people move smarter, maintain their bodies, and maximize strength with customized wellness plans so they can enjoy life without pain. I need that. Her teaching and studies focus on injury prevention, rehabilitation, and wellness inspired by her studies at UC Davis, where she earned a BS in exercise biology. Her programs have helped people worldwide, including me, get stronger and out of pain so they can step into their greatest potential. Alex, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
I am too. I have known you for a very long time. I think I first attended your first yoga therapy class well over a decade ago. And I still use some of the techniques that we learned. You've sent me videos for sleep health. I still use those as well. Basically, we need you. Tell us how you got into this, 'cause I know you are no stranger to the pain and the injury yourself.
Yeah. Actually, too, I was looking at pictures today as I was writing an email, and I was like, let me find an old yoga picture of myself. So going back into the archives from Yoga at the Village days, which is where you went, right?
You
You
did a couple of
probably,
places. You've been at CrossFit
I,
places I've seen you at as well.
yeah, I was gonna say, I've been
I've kind
here,
of
I've
been
been
following
there.
you. Yeah.
I've been everywhere. So how did I get into this? Injuries, I think that's kind of, when people are injured, this sucks. How do I do something different? And that was really kind of my initiation into the world of movement and mobility and wellness. I would say the biggest injury was in college actually. I injured my back and then started to have sciatica symptoms a couple weeks later. And I was 20 at the time. And so when I went to physical therapy, they gave me very boilerplate exercises of, just do this little back arch and just put a heat pack. And I'm like, I'm not 90. Can I have something that's a little bit more aggressive because I want to ride my bike and go to the gym and, just live my life as a 20-year-old without also being in pain or having to think about pain or having the mental load of, I don't think I can do all of that today because it's going to be worse later. At the time, I was, studying exercise biology. So we're looking at, injury pathology and biomechanics and kinesiology and how all those pieces fit together. And I was working as a student athletic trainer and traveling with teams at UC Davis. So it's not like I wasn't exposed to this kind of stuff. And the thing for me was well, how do we go from, I'm reading about it in a book about, back injuries and sciatica and I'm the cheat sheet, right? It's all about what's happening here. But how do I translate what's happening here to what's happening to me when I don't have access to athletic trainers and physical therapists in the way that the athletes did? So after physical therapy, I felt better. It did require a complaint, which anybody who's navigated chronic injury, you understand having to advocate for yourself, which as again, a 20-year-old was horrible. I had to pick up the phone. It was terrible. Okay. But finished physical therapy, I felt okay. And the physical therapist said, great, you need to work on core strength. And I was like, what does that mean? Right? What could that could mean 9 million different things. But as you alluded to, from my background in yoga, I had started working at a yoga studio when I was in high school, doing their database management, working the front desk, things like that. And so I was familiar enough with yoga as oh, wait, this is a thing. I feel like people talked about core strength in this, but hadn't really done much practice of it. But in college, I was like, okay, if I need to do core strength, I should go do this thing. And so that really started me into a regular movement practice and the benefit and really dramatic shift, you could say, that moving your body on a regular basis does for your mental health and your physical health and all of that. That year in college, we were living in a 5-bedroom house with 6 women. No living room space, but it was downtown. So it was primo, real estate. But going to exercise was an opportunity to get out of the house, right? It was to breathe, to do something for myself. And that really was kind of, I'd say, the initiation of my relationship with movement. Over the years, also, I've realized in hindsight that I'm hypermobile. Those of us who have chronic injuries, who stretch and it doesn't really help. And so, yeah, I was doing a ton of yoga and then also, roll over in bed and like throw my back out. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. So, one thing led to another. I was interested in blending yoga teaching with my anatomical background and my exercise biology background, which led me to yoga therapy conferences and things like that. And my mission has always been to kind of bridge that gap between anatomy and your body, because I believe that we all deserve to know about ourselves and how to take excellent care of our bodies in the way that we also like take care of our vehicles. Hopefully some better than others, right? To get your tires rotated, you change your oil, but like just a few minutes a day for your body can also make a dramatic difference in not only longevity and how you feel, but also just how you're able to experience life in the body that you have.
I'm glad you said a few minutes a day
Mhm.
because a lot of us writers are like, "No, I don't have that time."
Mhm.
And so one of the biggest problems is that when you get into a role, you don't wanna stop. And so you're typing and typing and typing, and you're just like, "This is great. I'm finally on a roll." And you finish the chapter, and, like, 2, 3 hours later, you're like, "Oh my gosh, my eyelids are, like, stuck open. My whole body hurts." What can we do to I don't know, is it that we need to learn to stop? Like, what would you say to us who are like, "We just sit there for hours unmoving?"
Yeah. I feel like there's the creative process, whatever that might be for you. There's being in your body and then there's being in your head. And to do both at the same time, even for myself, is I haven't figured it out, right? I'll see photos or videos of me teaching, and in that time I'm watching people move, but I'm also thinking about where we're going, what that next step is, and I look at how I'm standing or how I'm carrying myself and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not in my body at all. I'm 100% in my head." So it happens. That being said, that's where having a kind of like consistent practice in the sense of you brush your teeth every day, right? You wash your face. Hopefully you shower occasionally, like whatever that thing is. Just as you do those things every day to maintain the health of your body, spending a few minutes each day maintaining the health of your tissues is just as beneficial. So, what that might look like is at the end of that writing kind of stretch, right? And you're like, oh, I need to take a break. I'm out of the tunnel. I have reached a natural ending point. Maybe that's when I get up and walk around or get down onto the floor and roll on my therapy balls, like you talked about. Or maybe just a part of your wind down routine from the end of the day is that you incorporate some of these self-care type of moves. Again, I'm going to say sitting on the floor because that's just like the easiest way to stretch your hips. It's not sitting on the in a chair or like not sitting on the couch. Um, I like to watch TV. You, although now I'm like YouTube on the TV at the end of the day. And so if I can do that sitting on the floor, then I'm already stretching my hips, get a little bit of strength trying to get back up off of the floor. You can bring your therapy balls down there with you, do some rolling. So as far as like how to incorporate body maintenance, I would say as needed, right? Triage or into your regular routine, whether you're a morning person or an evening person or something like that.
So I get the sense that it's okay that sometimes we are sitting for quite some time, that it doesn't have to be some regimented thing. It's almost like I feel like you're giving us permission to just do it when we can.
Absolutely. I mean, because even for myself, as somebody who is in, the fitness industry and talks about fitness all the time, I spend 80% of my day on a computer, right? Writing podcasts, speaking on podcasts, doing the administration work of running an online business. So, me too, right? Like I'm absolutely in the same boat. And so I think it's more about being intentional about where movement happens, of prioritizing movement and self-care for yourself because you know it's going to make such a big difference. So, for example, I do my workouts like 3 times a week is my commitment to myself because I just know I feel so much better. Any of the instability that comes along with hypermobility is just, it's not a big deal as long as I continue to work out and build strength. But I also was skipping my rollouts, which you might be like, what? But I was like, I got to go to work. I got to get to my computer. I have a meeting. I don't have time. But then that not having time is like, cool. Now for 3 days, you sit down to a chair and you're like, oh, because everything is just so tired. All the only shift I made, I was like, Alex, listen, you know better than this. We can do this. Just spend 5 minutes with your therapy balls in the garage. It's where I have my gym before you go into the house. Because I know once I go into the house, I'm gonna feed the dog breakfast. I'm gonna make my own breakfast. I'm gonna shower. Like the day gets away from me, right? So if I can spend that 5 minutes like stacking it onto a habit that I already have, then it'll actually happen. Is that the ideal scenario that I would like to do for my mobility? No, but it happens. And getting it done and being able to yield the benefit is a lot better than like wishing you were doing it or beating yourself up because you're not doing it. So every little bit counts. Even too, if it's just, like rolling your feet out while you're on a phone call or something like that, like all of that adds up to being, I don't know if it's like mindful is not really the word but of just being in your body and taking care of the body that you have at present.
I think that's why you are such a good fit for coming on this show because we are very much about the whole writer. A lot of writing podcasts talk about, oh, the craft and the mindset, and they ignore the fact that this vehicle, without it, none of it would be possible. And
Hmm.
another thing that I love about your newsletters is that you are always so honest about your own human foibles. You're always like, I am no different than you. I make mistakes too. I forget to roll out, and I'm a
Yes.
fitness person, and okay, good. It doesn't feel like, oh, we have to be like Alex and so like, about on it every day. It's like life gets in the way. And
Hmm.
so everybody, when you're watching this video, try to do a little mobility, do it while you're watching us.
Yeah, well, I mean, even as I'm talking to you, I'm standing here because I know that this is an opportunity to be on my feet for the day. It also, if in a conversation, helps me to be like more present. But when I'm writing, I like to sit. And sometimes I even like to sit on the couch and I go, this is my creative writing time. Like for those newsletters, I try to batch it all at once. So it's like even that is a way to like incorporate movement into what you're doing and like giving yourself permission. I can slouch, I can do whatever right now because I know I'm also going to do this other thing later that's going to help offset that, so to speak.
If we could do something really quick right now, like what would be just one easy low lift thing for people to start with mobility?
One of my favorite things because again, it's not just like the one thing the one day, but what's the one thing you can do a couple days a week that you're going to keep doing. So I like to designate a doorway in the house that is the doorway that you're going to try to touch. So every time you walk through that doorway, you reach up and I'm 5'1", like I'm never actually going to touch it, but it's like the thought that counts. So you walk under the doorway, you try to reach up because what that gives you is overhead range of motion for your shoulders. Because the rest of the day, right, our hands are in front of us. We're typing on the computer, we're on our phones, we're driving, we're reading books, whatever. Your hands are down in front of you. And so if every time you walk through that doorway, so I picked my office doorway, and every time I walked out of the office to go get a glass of water or go use the restroom or do whatever, right? Hands go overhead. And then that's just another opportunity to build that range of motion, to explore that range of motion, to let the joints move in that way where otherwise they would not. So really like your whole body and your ability to move is sort of under the use it or lose it principle because our bodies are so super efficient. And your body goes, well, I'm not using that. So like I don't need to keep energy for that. I'm going to divert energy into things that we're actually doing and we're actually using. And so when you think about movement and you think about mobility, I just want you to think about doing something different from your normal day to day. If we think of it in sort of like a food analogy, it's eat all different kinds of colored vegetables and, fruits and meat and carbs. Like you want a well balanced diet. Similarly with your movement, I want to move in all the ways that I can, knowing full well that my work self is not a whole lot of movement, right? Like it's a whole lot of sitting and thinking and being in my head. And so then outside of that, oh, how could I move? It's reaching overhead, touching the doorway. Maybe it's sitting on the floor, right? And I know a lot of people might be like, but that's like so much work, right? To get up and down off the floor. So maybe you don't start with that. But again, getting up and down off the floor is hip, knee, ankle flexibility work. You're working on strength. It's like a whole exercise to get up and down off the floor. And then once you're down there, you can work on hip flexibility. So I'd say touching the doorway and sitting on the floor, they check a lot of boxes.
I love that. See how easy that was, everyone? And yeah, I do remember you saying, like, just make sure you're in different positions throughout the day. It's
Mhm.
okay if you're working in different positions. And I think after I heard that, I was like, you know what? Sometimes I'll use a laptop at the kitchen table, then I'll go to the desk, desktop. And so it's like, yeah, as long as I'm in different positions and
Oh, totally.
sitting weird, even if you're sitting weird, just shift it, sit weird in a different
The other
way.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think variety really is the key. And so much of our repetitive stress and discomfort comes from doing so much of the same. And already, just think of how often you're sitting, right? We sit to drive, you sit at the kitchen table, you sit on the couch, you sit for work. And so, if in your movement you could do something that's not sitting, and I say that as somebody who loves to ride my stationary bike, I have just like a generic bike and I do the Peloton app. I call it my Peloton because it's a fake Peloton. But I'm like, this is sitting and I already sit all day long. So let me also then maybe do some standing type of things before I lead into this. So again, just think of like variety. How can I change up my work position? So again, like I'm standing here talking to you. There was a time many years ago where I could stand all day and it was fine. That's not the case anymore. So I stand for podcasts. I know, right? And I stand at the beginning of the day for like 30 minutes and then I sit back down. I go, that box is checked, right? I think too, when it comes to new habits and movement, especially, you want to set the bar very low as to what counts to give you that check mark. I'm someone who like loves a check mark. I will write things down at the end of the day just so I could check them off that I did them. I love a gold star sticker, like whatever it is. So if I can set the bar super low, right? It's move my body today. Then whatever I do counts. It's stand for some amount of time. And then even that 5 minutes, it counts. Because we can't discount the psychology that happens when you win, right? Our brain loves to win. And like you're not we think we're like so special, so complicated. It's like, no, you're like a 4-year-old in a big body or like a chocolate lab in a human-sized body. Like do good thing, get treat, continue on, right? Like it can be that simple. So if you set the bar super low for yourself to be successful and then you do it, you go, yeah, I did it. And your brain goes, ooh, I like that. Let's do that again. And then it's easier to get into the habit of something versus beating yourself up that you didn't do it and whatever you did wasn't good enough. Like who wants to stay in that kind of feeling, you know?
I don't think people realize how brilliant what you just said is because you are basically hacking our phone addicted, social
Oh
media
gosh.
addicted, the dopamine rush. Like you were saying, fine, if that's what's going on, let's use it. Let's use it for our benefit.
Yeah, and I can't take full credit for this because actually you mentioned the phone apps. There's a book called Tiny Habits by a man named BJ Fogg, and he teaches at Stanford. He's a professor at Stanford, does research at Stanford on habits. And the same people who created, Facebook, Twitter, like all of those apps that I too am incredibly addicted to, took his class at Stanford. So it's just using like the reverse psychology, but also acknowledging this is how my brain works, right? This is what I like to do. I know that I thrive in this kind of setup. So, like, let me lean more into that so I can just keep doing the things that I want to do. Like another thing I know this isn't for everyone. Like, I like to eat the same thing for breakfast every day because that's one less decision I have to make, and then I can go to work and make 9 million decisions about all kinds of different stuff. So, however you like to do things, I would say just like lean into that, but also know at the end of the day that dopamine hit that you're talking about is 100% real and we can use it for good or we can use it for evil.
Please
So,
use it for good. I
I
talk
know.
loud about digital minimalism on this podcast, so you guys know
Seriously.
where I stand.
Yeah. I mean, also too, like, I know I'm fully addicted to my phone. So it's like, how can I put it to bed at night? There's very strict rules about it. Like, I have
Do you tuck it
timers.
in?
I mean, it's in another room because I also know I'm like, I'm fully addicted. I don't have willpower. So why am I going to set myself up into all these situations where I have to pretend like I have willpower and then I feel guilty that I didn't do it? Like, we're not even gonna play that game. If there was a way to put it in a locked box for not just specific periods of time, but like with a little bit more flexibility, I would 100% do that. Cause I know like the locked boxes exist, but it's like for one day or like 30 minutes. I'm like, no, I need it a little bit more like sophisticated than that. Like take it away, please.
No joke, I get my laptop taken from me every single night as if I am a 5-year-old
You have
because
to.
I have no self-control
Mhm,
whatsoever, and so I'm like,
mhm.
"Nope, if it's there, I will not be sleeping."
The thing too is like, the laptop also, I'm like, it closes and after 6 o'clock, like work me is gone. There's no work to be done. I'm not a brain surgeon. Like nothing is life or death, you know? I can deal with it tomorrow. Yeah. The other one too is
I
like,
love
I
it.
can't open the social media. Like if those open at after 10 PM, like I'm done for. Just done for. Actually, another like a kind of like and it's not even a hack, a habit I just created for myself because I wanted to get up earlier to do my workouts, right? And like I said, it's about like making the intention for it to happen. And what was happening is, oh, at 10 o'clock, let me just check that like one last post on Reddit. And then it's like 11. And it was also like the thought of like having to get up off the couch or get up from the kitchen table or whatever and go get ready for bed and like what that entails of like brushing your teeth and washing your face and putting your serums on and taking a shower. Overwhelming. It was too much. So using the kind of like the science of tiny habits, I was like, well, what's like the one thing I could do that's like the lowest common denominator, but then I can be successful with that. I have an alarm on my watch that goes off at 9:30 every single night. So at 9:30, I just stand up from the couch. That's it. There's no obligation of what I have to do from there. But if at 9:30 I can get my butt up and off of my very comfortable couch, I'm like, well, I'm already up. I guess I should go, do this stuff I need to do in the kitchen to like clean up and close up, or I should go get ready for bed. It seems stupid simple. And yet I'm 37 and I'm finally going to bed at the same time every night and getting really, really quality sleep. And I couldn't be happier. So like treat yourself like a toddler because again, we're just like little people in big bodies. Like
Well,
that's
you
it.
and I are also in little bodies, but
Well, yeah, yeah. But I'm like, my friends with kids now, like the 4-year-old needs a normal bedtime. Otherwise, they're like a terror. I'm no different. I just am a little bit better at like masking it, but
I
like,
don't think I'm good at masking.
I'm so much happier. Like, I also get my reading time in. That was the other thing was like, I was going to bed so late that I felt guilty about reading. And I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So now I'm like in bed, lights out with my Kindle at 10:30. I get to read and fall
See,
asleep. And
but
it's
you actually
amazing.
listen to it. I also have an alarm that says, "Take melatonin," and I'll be watching Love is Blind, and I will get up and turn that alarm off and keep watching.
So see, this is the trigger, right? Is the trigger doesn't work for you. And that's fine because part of it too is figuring out what is going to
There
work
you go.
for you, right? So maybe it's moving it somewhere else so it becomes a part of another habit. So like it's
Mm.
next to like your toothpaste or something like that. So that's the other thing too that I always try to like convey in all of my teaching, all my writing, all of that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect the first time. And if you can approach it with, I call like a body detective mindset of looking for more of the like clues as to like what comes next, go, oh, that didn't work for me. What about this? That doesn't work for me. What about this? Okay, this works, but what if I tried this instead? Rather than, well, I failed. This sucks. I should just give up and like go home. There's just so many times, like so many habits it's that have failed. I mean, like same things. I ignored this timer. I'm not even lying. I've had a timer on my watch for, I don't know, like 10 years. I've just been ignoring it.
Yes.
I put it up as like for time blindness to like just have an idea of what time it was, and this is the first time that it's clicked. And I'm like, cool. And then I'm seeing the benefit of it from a data standpoint of like my sleep quality. And I'm like, you don't have to convince me. Like I'm in. I'm all in. Bedtime, off the couch at 9:30, and then go get ready for bed. It could be, but it could be that simple, right? It could be that simple.
See, and this is the stuff you do. You do body detective work,
Mhm.
right, with your programs. Like, how do you actually work with people to deal with this?
Well, I used to think that if I gave you all the exercises and all of the things, that it was a matter of you just didn't know what to do. And so I created so many programs and so many things and gave them to people. And then, like, that motivation and excitement in about 2 weeks burns off. And then I was like, wait a minute. So it's not about the exercises at all. And so, actually, I would say like 83% of what I do is figuring out where the habit's gonna happen, right? And what that, like, lowest common denominator looks like for you. Like, what would success look like for you to be enough to keep going? And then the rest is the exercises. That's the easy part. Like, I know what to tell you to do about your back hurting or your wrist hurting or whatever, but if you're not actually going to do it, it doesn't matter. So that's also why I was like, I got to figure out this habit thing, even for myself. But a habit too is it's like riding a bike, kind of, in that even if it's been a long time since you've done it, you can get back on that bike. And it may be a little bit shaky at first, but then you're back in it. Like, you don't forget how. I trained in classical piano for 8 years as a kid and, practice an hour every day, did competitions, all of that. Even though I don't play regularly, I don't practice anymore, I can still sit down at the piano and play. Like, that's a skill that I have. And movement, if you can find what works for you, get into the rhythm of it, it too can become like riding a bike that you don't forget. And so for me, over the last couple years, there's been a lot of stops and starts as life is lifing. And it was always a thing I was able to come back to, right? That movement and my body are a place for me personally that feel like home. And that's because I've cultivated that feeling and that experience from all of this work. But also, I mean, as you've already like touched upon, as a creative, as a writer, like whatever it is that you do in this world, regardless of also how your body might feel or present in this moment, like what a privilege it is to be here in this moment in this body. And so if I can keep doing things to like celebrate that also, then that's a win in my book. And so even if, right, I think last week maybe I did like 2 workouts and I was like, that's okay. There's always next week, right? There's always tomorrow. Think of it as the long game. Like, how can I set myself up for success, for a habit, for a routine that's going to last a lifetime? And not just go all in super hard right now and be burnt out in 2 weeks and never do it again. Because I
This
do
is a
those too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a great this is in tandem with the writing
Mhm,
profession. Like, a
mhm,
lot of us are like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna sell this one book. Oh, that book didn't sell. Okay, we're gonna sell this." So it becomes a long haul. I think if we can psychologically get into that mindset for both movement and writing, this
mhm,
will really serve us a lot of success. So thank you
mhm.
for bringing that up. Now,
Yeah.
there is something I ask all of my guests here on the Sophia Chang Show, and that is, do you even lift, sis?
Hell yeah. Oh, no. Hell yeah, brother.
That's what I like to hear. Yes. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I mean, like, as I've already kind of mentioned, I like to work out 3 days a week. That's enough for me. I walk my dog also. So that's like another way I get movement. My favorite ways to lift now are obviously strength training with dumbbells. I have a gym in my garage. I have garage parties, I call them. And you can do a lot with just some dumbbells. There's a lot, sometimes the workout plans, if I'm, following something on like the Peloton app or something like that, I'm like, you know what? That's a great suggestion. I'm not going to do that. And so there's a lot of modification happening. But again, the bar was move your body today. So I still checked that box. The other thing I've been really enjoying as of recently is Pilates on a reformer, depending on, where your listeners are. I don't know if this app is everywhere, but here in LA, we have an app called ClassPass, and studios will partner with ClassPass. And so I can go take a reformer class at, this studio or that studio or this studio, depending on the instructor, the time of day. And I've really been loving that because it's so unlike the strength training, the bike riding that I'm doing, but really is helping to build stability in my hypermobile and very unstable body.
Okay, so how often would you say so you're still doing you do the 3 times a week is the lifting and then the Pilates is in between that, or
No, I ride my bike one day, do a strength training workout one day, and then I do Pilates once a week. Now, if I were an
Oh,
athlete, would it make more sense to like do my sport specific thing 5 days a week? Sure. I'm not an athlete, right? Like I'm just trying to move better and feel better. And I find that that is like feels good for me and is stimulating enough for my squirrel brain to like keep it interesting. The cardio, actually, I was like, I need to be doing more cardio, which is why I'm riding my bicycle more regularly. I went to a Dodger game like 2 weeks ago, and we were walking up the stairs to the top, and it's like 7 stories. And I was just like dying. And I was like, this is embarrassing. I need to like improve that cardiovascular capacity. Cause like my husband was like, I thought you work out. I was like, I don't do this kind of workout. Okay. Like,
he was
leave
like,
me
"Do you even
alone.
lift, sis?"
I was like, I do. I don't do cardio. God. But that's the other thing too, right? Is like you move your body and what that actually looks like can mean a lot of different things based on what you want to do. And for me in this moment, I'm like, I'd like to improve my cardiovascular capacity. So we will ride our bike more.
You just freed me up because I would love to lift consistently 3 days a week because I'm on a push-pull leg,
Mhm.
but life has been getting in the way for me, and then also because I lift heavy and because of my autoimmune disease, I need more recovery time, and so I've
Mhm.
only been getting 2 lifts in a week, and I'm like, "Argh," but now that I'm hearing that, "Hey, you know what? You do 1 a week, you do the other stuff the other days," I'm like, "Yeah, it's not that big of a deal what I'm
No.
doing."
No. Yeah, like we're not athletes. I don't need to be prepared for the Summer Olympics next year. Like it's okay. But I feel like so much of what we get from media about fitness is from people who are training like an athlete. And like, I love that for them. But for your general person who has a life and a career and a family, that's just like not always sustainable. Also, too, I'm at every turn trying to build resiliency so I don't get injured. And that does mean that there needs to be more recovery time in between workouts. But also too, if you're doing it whatever your reasons are, if you're like, no, I need it for the mental health. Okay, so then maybe, it's harder and more intense one day. And then the next day, maybe it is just like a gentle, even like a mat Pilates class or something. I'm obsessed with Pilates right now. Or going out on a walk and you go like a little bit further if that's something you can tolerate, or riding your bike. Again, if the bar is just, I moved my body, what you actually do doesn't have to be the same or the same intensity every single day.
Oh my god, thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
gonna say Alex said it was okay.
Yeah, of course. I give you permission.
I love it so much. Now if all of you listening want your own guidance from Alex, where can we find you and your programs?
Yeah, at aewellness.com. On the homepage, this is one of the things that took me like 4 hours to do, but I was like, I'm in it. And I had to finish it all in one sitting. But there is a whole page on the homepage of what hurts and where to go. So whether it's upper body, lower body, core, low back, feet, and every program within that is all there on the homepage at aewellness.com. Also, too, if your listeners are interested in getting started with therapy ball work and the massage, I do have a bodywork starter guide. So I'll share that link with you so that you can share it with them. And it's the 6 places to get started with and how to roll them with therapy balls, which is also a great way to get into movement because it feels really nice. So I'll share that with you all as well.
No, I can't live without therapy balls. I really can't.
Same.
Like, I travel with them. Like, I know you do
Uh-huh.
as well. We all do. All of us who get into it, it's in our
Yeah.
suitcase.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, literally, I was driving over to my office. It's 5 miles, and I was like, "Man, do I have therapy balls in the car?" And I was like, "Ah, they're not in here." I was so disappointed. But yeah, it's just there's something to be said of just feeling like so much more, not just in control, but almost like liberated from having to rely on somebody else to help you with your body when you have a tool where anytime something feels like off or weird or overly tired or aggravated, you're just like, oh, I can do something about that right now. And it might not be 100% the fix, but I can do something. And that something can be very, very helpful.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming here, teaching us how to raise our arms. Because
Yes.
literally, we forget even just simple things like that. Just move your arms in a different way, like,
Hmm.
and that's the kind of really practical stuff that I love that you teach. So, everyone go give a check out. There's going to be links below here. Subscribe to this for more. As you can see, I take care of you as a writer all around, mind and body. So, stick around, everybody. And thank you again, Alex, for coming on to the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everyone.